Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and joining me today is my friend, my homie. Hello, Damon Williams. How are you?
Doing fantastic. How are you, Sybil?
I'm great. I really am good. And our other homie, our co-Chicagoan, is going to be joining us a little bit later. We also have a very special guest during our What's Really Going On segment, talking about a crazy bill that's been proposed in Tennessee, of all places, having to do with the late great John Lewis, uh,
Mm,
and 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 Donald Trump figure.
wow.
We'll get more information from people who really know what's going on. So I hope you all will stay tuned for that. Damon, you've been
Yes.
on the road. You've been home. How are you? What's going on?
The road was great. Orlando really treated me well. People came out. Some of our former listeners. Madeline Woods came as well,
Oh,
the
nice.
radio personality who used to fill in when you were on vacation. Known from the hip hop song "Girl, You Got the Goods," like Madeline Woods by the Tribe Called Quest.
Right.
Then I came home for the Super Bowl. My son and I had a little time to watch the game, and that was great. And tonight, my man B Cole is doing riddles, so I just want to shout him out. But I have two projects released. One of them I'm really proud of, and the other one is out there. Um, they're both on Tubi, but it was a conglomerate of Chicago talent called Creative Hustle, and it's stand up plus sketch comedy plus live performances from like singers and rappers. So sort of like the Robert Townsend Partners in Crime that inspired it,
Oh,
and it's
cool.
your boy Leon Rogers is on it, a bunch of people from Chicago. And then the other one is a movie called Can't Get Right, but I didn't write it. I just read my lines. And I want y'all to see it just so y'all can see it. But I didn't write it.
And you just
I
read
just
your
read my
lines.
lines. Yes.
Can't get right.
I play a gangster though. I'm a crime boss.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Can't get right on Tubi.
Yep.
Okay.
RITE. Yes. Because you couldn't spell it right if you can't get right.
Right.
Right. Shotty from Atlanta, radio personality. He's on there as well. He's the lead. So
Awesome.
that's
And
what's
you're
up.
okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's an
It
awful
is.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got things happening. Well, let's move to the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our Monday through Friday newsletter, and we talk about things that are happening in our community and sometimes around the world that we just should know about. And Cameron Riley wrote has been giving us some little known Black history facts in his pieces, and he followed up with more Black history regarding the Super Bowl. That Rihanna was not the first Black woman, as we know. We've seen Beyonce, but he did talk about who was the first Black woman to perform during halftime at the Super Bowl, and that was the late great uh, Ella Fitzgerald, and that was back in Super Bowl 7, 6 or
Wow.
7, yeah. Super Bowl. Let's see what is that? Super
It,
Bowl
it,
4.
I'm about to say it might have been the NFL championship. It might not even have been a Super Bowl.
Right, right. I think that it was a Super Bowl because it was a
Okay,
Super
because
Bowl. It
I would
is
think
noted as Super Bowl 6 when Ella Fitzgerald became the first Black woman in Super Bowl history to step on the stage in New Orleans, and it was a tribute to Louis Armstrong, who died that
Satchmo.
year before. Right, right.
Yeah.
And so she sang, and then it was another 20 years before Michael Jackson was to perform on stage. And then, of course, now we know that Rihanna, broke the internet with her appearance on the Super Bowl stage. And not only being the Black woman in Black History Month and all that went along with it, but also the first woman to be pregnant while performing during the Super Bowl, announcing her pregnancy during the Super Bowl, as it were, and so all of these great things. But it was Ella Fitzgerald making history as the first Black woman in Super Bowl history to step on that stage, and it was held in New Orleans. What better place? And things have really changed as a result of Jay-Z and his crew taking over the placement of people in the Super Bowl halftime shows, and as we saw last year with the history of hip hop and rap and all those folks that were there, like Mary J. and Eminem and what have you, Dr. Dre. Of course,
Yeah. And I
that
would
was
think
really
that
nice
when
of him.
Ella performed, they had leather helmets. But anyway, the tie-in between her and Rihanna is Ella, Ella,
Right.
under my umbrella, Ella, Ella. Anyway, yeah, it's great that Jay-Z has some say in some advisory position as far as diversifying the shows, because halftime, of course, has been notoriously boring at some point. But leave it to Rihanna to turn the Super Bowl into an HBCU classic. More people watch halftime than the actual
Okay.
game, and that hasn't been done. So that was awesome. And the fact that she sprung the baby bump on her. So yeah, it was a great night.
It was pretty cool. And also the fact that the numbers went up during the halftime as opposed to the overall average of the Super Bowl, which was about 116 million. And I believe during halftime with Rihanna, it went up to 118 million people watching, or at
Indeed.
least televisions tuned in, or whatever your devices
Just say
were.
viewers, because we don't know
Yeah.
how they calculate that stuff nowadays.
And
Yeah.
it's an even greater mystery today than it ever was, right? And
But
so,
shouts out to Tubi for the funniest prank commercial. I don't know
so
if
what's that? I didn't see it. So tell me about
oh
it.
man, everybody. So when you when you're watching anything, if you sit on your remote, it might go to the home screen of your streaming apps. So it
Uh-huh.
did that, and then it just started clicking through them, going to like if somebody was doing. So everybody's looking around like, who was messing with the remote all over the world.
That is
Everybody was
hilarious.
like, "Who the hell?" Then it was like a Tubi, because Tubi been catching hell because they will put anything on Tubi. There have been
Yeah.
some. We love the bad movies on Tubi, and now I officially
And my
am a
party,
member of the
the bad movie
of a
club.
Tubi style movie. I have some good ones on there too, though. Heaven on Seven, I'm very proud of. Can't
And
get
you
right.
should be.
It's one of those. It's like one of those movies, like maybe Soul Plane would end up being. One of those. It might become a cult classic.
Right.
But it's a lot of stuff going on with that movie, and I'm sure my man
Well,
Marcus here.
we'll talk about it as we get into
No, we
this.
won't.
Yeah, yeah, we will. Yeah, we will. I promise we will. Um, but I do want to talk about because we hadn't talked about this, and it is something that we do need to talk about in watching what's going on around the world, and that is the earthquakes that took place in Turkey
God,
and Syria.
God,
Um, just awful when you think about now. They're probably close to over 40,000 people who have been killed as a result of the earthquakes in those two countries. But the stories of survival are just so incredible and inspirational. Babies who've been born while their mothers have been trapped underneath the rubble. Small children being kept alive by their parents by playing. This one little girl and her father just dug out today, and the father and the little girl played rock, paper, scissors for days on end in the dark and
mm.
promising that they were going to get out. And how intent the rescuers are. And they will ask everyone to turn all their equipment off because they think they might feel something. They're going in with their hands and their fingers, trying to feel out, and for the human touch and contact. And also, just so if you take all the machinery out, including the lights, which tend to make a noise, and the other digging equipment, and then they listen very intently, and sometimes they are lucky enough to hear the voices of people, yelling out for help.
Yeah,
And
this
the
is such a tragic scenario. And then now we all know, and this is to try to make light, how our mothers would belittle us saying, "I was in labor for 32 hours with
right,
you."
right,
Imagine if your mother delivered you after an earthquake out of the rubble. It's
right.
nothing you can do that she can't tell you to do, that you have to do it,
I'm
man.
telling you. I'm
But that
telling
is
you.
that is an overwhelming. It's been so overwhelming that I've kind of like tried to even stay away from it, from a sense of when I'm doing my shows and stuff, because it's so heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like radio, my Sam still call in, because if people absorb themselves in that heaviness, you still want to have some humor somewhere out there. So
Sure.
that's been
And
my
you're right.
lane.
You're right. Yeah. And you
But
think about this little girl who survived, and her picture is in the newsletter, who survived. Unfortunately, her family didn't, and they
right,
gave her the name, I believe it's Anya, and they describe her as her name, which is a miracle from God.
Yes,
And
completely.
it truly is. The miracles are unceasing, but sounding a lot like the U.S., Damon, is the quality of the structures and the building materials used are being slammed, and now investigations they can't get through to clear all this away and find and hopefully find more survivors. But they're really concerned about the shoddy workmanship of the construction of these buildings, and now
Yeah.
lawsuits are already being planned and underway. I'm not sure if our ambulance chasers are going over there to do anything, but certainly there's a lot of talk about doing right by the people in Turkey and Syria regarding the homes that the apartments and houses that they lived in, because they said it's shameful.
Yeah, and this is obviously that it increased the numbers of the fatalities based on that because we 7.8. I'm sure there have been 7 point earthquakes in other regions that didn't have this death toll, and so
Right.
there definitely was some negligence there. And people probably don't expect to experience such a thing, but you have to build up the code to for people's lives, and that's such a terrible way when you just minding your business the
Yeah.
earth moves and your home, collapses. So we all we could do is pray and donate and send supplies and hope they find more survivors.
Exactly right, Damon. And hope that that they. But it seems like I forget who I was having the conversation with, but it seems like Turkey and this area in Syria. I mean, there's like one area of devastation that's so large they compare it to the size of Texas.
Whoa.
That's how effective this earthquake was, which was about a 7.8.
Yeah.
Um, and just think about that if that had happened to us. And I think the greatest fear for me is something like a tornado or or an earthquake, which just kind of spring up in most cases, happening in the dark of night. And that is probably my greatest fear. And because I was thinking about this last night when I couldn't sleep, and a storm came through, and I'm thinking, well, I'm glad I'm awake because I can kind of put my mind around what I need to do, and
Right.
not just be awakened with my roof coming off my house or something like that. But that's the most frightening thing for me. And I don't know about you, but how these things happen, and just kind of, I mean, with hurricanes, you prepare yourself for it, right?
Right.
Um, but some of these other horrific events happen without warning.
Yeah. An earthquake. I mean, I don't think they even have the capability to foresee that. And if
Warnings,
they
yeah,
do, even if they do, it's seconds.
right.
It's no, they won't know. It's like a storm. Like when people get caught up and you get caught off guard by a snowstorm, it's like, come on, they've been telling you this for 2 days. The storm is
Right, it's
coming.
coming. Okay, you
Yeah,
play
right.
if you want to.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But an earthquake and tornadoes. I mean, you can know a storm is coming, but you don't know a severe storm. I actually survived a tornado when I was a kid in Indianapolis, and I'm
Hmm.
talking about a bad one. A tree fell on the house next door, and
Wow.
but we were at my aunt Terry's, and Aunt Terry been saved since I came out the womb, and she had the direct line to Jesus,
Come
and that
on.
tree fell right next door because I'm telling you,
Wow.
that had to be the only thing because it was that was the scariest time I've ever experienced. I remember that tornado, and I was
Wow.
probably about 6 years old.
Wow. My dad used to joke about the fact that my mother grew up in Kansas and knew that it was what the effects of tornadoes were. It was it was a lot like the Wizard of Oz kind of thing. And he used to joke that all of these these things swirling around my mother, and she didn't seem phased by it, but she knew what to do, like go in the basement and do stuff like that. And one
Right.
time there was a tornado on the way, and we were out caught in it. My dad's like, I know I'm dialing the wrong number because you would not be out with my child in the middle of a tornado. She's like, well, I had some things to do. I was trying, it's like just knowing the effects of it, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And you truly were blessed to have that tree not affect you, because that's also something
Yep.
that's really big for happening, especially with our weak ass trees that we have here in Texas.
say y'all got weak ass trees?
We got weak ass trees, man. I swear it's ridiculous. And people tell you, yeah, I got to go buy a tree, and let me give me the weakest one you got. Okay, all right, bring it on to the house. I swear, it's terrible. It's just terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Among the other stories that we have in the What You Need to Know newsletter, we always give you a coronavirus update. Yes, there are still things that are happening regarding coronavirus, whether it is what the mandates that are being lifted and people are pretty much going back to their lives, social justice. And Coy Malone talks about a Black man who was killed by Louisiana police. It has been confirmed that he was, surprised, unarmed, and protesters are demanding footage from the cars, from the police cars, as well as the police body vest, as they are filing a lawsuit. He was 43-year-old Alonzo Bagley, fatally shot by police in Shreveport, Louisiana, after he ran away from a domestic disturbance call. And they say that he has been confirmed as being unarmed, and so no weapon was found near or on him. And so the investigation on that case and the family's attorney has been hired to look and to make sure that these things are on the up and up as they bring a case against the Shreveport Police Department.
Ironically, my shirt says it's impossible to be unarmed when it's your color they fear.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yep.
That's powerful.
My wife's like, where you get that shirt? I'm like, I don't remember, but I just happened to throw it on today, and yeah, that's what that says.
And here you are. I'd like to find out where you got it too. I'd like to get one for our Coy Malone, because that seemingly is a lot of what she talks about and writes about in the What You Need to Know newsletter. And finally, please do. And finally, so we're getting close to tax time, and our CPA to the stars, Katrina M. Kraft, talks about tax payment options, whether there are short-term payment plans and offer in compromise or OIC and temporarily delay collection. Check it out in the What You Need to Know newsletter. She does a great job of that.
I checked that out for sure today. And in Illinois, they were saying that they were recommending, the IRS was saying they recommended people hold off on filing their returns, which is kind of interesting. I don't know why that would be. So you can get further instructions. So I don't know if they were trying to find out if maybe some of those Illinois payments that people got from the Fed were tax deductible or not. So,
and how they will be taxed as a federal benefit for the people, or if it's just a state tax that they have to go through. And I think primarily, Damon, they're talking about it not being taxed on the federal level, but definitely on the local and the state level. So,
but anybody look for a refund, like, yeah, right, my taxes filed. Now,
okay.
us entrepreneurs and independent contractors file April 14 at 12:59:59. You ain't never gonna tell me to wait.
Too bad, too sad. Done. Been there, done that, right?
Yeah.
Damon, in our wellness check, 16 snacks for a healthy heart. What do you think is one of the first ones?
My favorite, popcorn.
Yep. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I was glad to see that there, but it's air pop popcorn. It's not pop. Yeah, it's not microwave for sure, and it's not the Negroes who put the butter in the skillet either. Right. So air pop is, but popcorn overall is healthy because it's high in fiber. People don't realize that, and I don't know if corn is as high in fiber. I never heard anybody say corn is high in fiber, but maybe they say they don't even trust or check the nutritional value of corn because it just slide right through you. But once you pop it, maybe the fiber is
that's where the fiber gets started and gets busy.
Yeah, it gets to hang out with you because we already know corn makes a reappearance time to time.
When did I have corn? So there are also some other snacks that are suggested. Of course, the fresh vegetable snacks and sticks, such as carrots and cucumbers with hummus. And one of my favorites, pumpkin seeds. Love me some pumpkin seeds.
Oh, yeah. We did do those back in the day.
Remember those? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can still find a package of pumpkin seeds at Walmart, as a matter of fact. So thank you.
How about that?
So that is our What You Need to Know newsletter. Please go to SybilWilkes.com to subscribe if you haven't already. It's absolutely free if you didn't know that, and it will continue to be. And we would love to have you be a part of the What You Need to Know news crew. SybilWilkes.com, and give us your name and your email address, and it'll be in your email box every Monday through Friday, first thing in the
Yes.
morning. All right. So let's move to the What's Really Going On section. And Yolanda, I believe we have a guest that is waiting for us that we have for today, talking about this incredible bill, this crazy bill that is underway in the state of Tennessee. There's a proposal to rename a portion of John Lewis Way in Nashville, Tennessee. Yes, Yolanda.
They're not here. Can we hold off on that? And
yeah, sure we can.
We'll hold off on it, and we'll do it next week.
Okay. All right, cool. Okay. Then we'll hold off on that. All right, fine. So, Damon, let me ask you, just as far as, let's move to trending, and then maybe Med will join us during the process of this. Do you have any Valentine's evening plans?
I do indeed. My wife and I are going as soon as I'm done here. She planned an 8 o'clock reservation because she knew it was Tuesday.
Thank you,
her and her good friend Tanya are taking me and Tanya's husband Sean Howard, a publicist extraordinaire, who I have to shout out because he got me massive exposure for my 30th anniversary on all the networks locally, and he's just a really great guy. So we're going to go to a place called Edible Passport where they do these tastings.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and Edible Passports, if I'm not mistaken, they also do like home setups. They'll come to your home and prepare a tasting at your house for you. So, but the ladies, they found the spot, and that's what we're doing.
That is
and happy Love Day to everybody. If you're by yourself, then love yourself. I don't mean that in a literal sense, but it's your house, it's your night. Maybe you can, hey, nobody
whatever
mad
blows
at
your skirt up. I'm not mad at it either. You know?
Yes, sir. Whatever blows your skirt up, sir.
oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Really,
whatever, fella.
Damon, that sounds great. Will you come back and give us a review of that? I'd love to hear about it. That sounds like
I will. I'll do a little foodie video because we did those a lot. So I think we'll definitely be doing that tonight.
Nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely nice. And what about your comedy dates? What do you have coming up?
This weekend, I will be in Columbus at the Funny Bone, Friday and Saturday, Columbus Funny Bone. And then on Sunday, I go back to my second home in Canada. I'll be in Edmonton at the Comic Strip. Yeah, I'm taking a brother named Kevin Tate. He's a Detroit native, but he's based out of LA. He did my show Laugh Tonight on Urban Flicks. And Corey Bell, who is here from Chicago, who tours with Monique. So the three of us are going over to Canada. And I have to zip right back home. I was going to stay. I normally stay a day or two because that's my buddy. I stay at his house and when I'm there. Mm-hmm. But B. Cole is celebrating his 31st anniversary of stand-up. And I'm the surprise special guest host. And that'll be Monday at Zany's down in Old Town.
That's nice. That's really nice. That's going to be, and I always find it interesting. I never remember you talking about going to Edmonton in the summertime.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
It's so crazy because we do their long weekends, which are their holidays. But I've been dying to get over there, so I've only gone once. So it's always February, October, and at the latest May. And May is still chilly in Edmonton. Yeah. So we talked about that yesterday, getting a weekend in July possibly.
Okay. All right.
But you're absolutely right. And Edmonton is where Minnesota gets its cold, and Minnesota is where we get ours. So imagine that.
Right.
Yeah, Edmonton is 2 degrees warmer than Antarctica. Maybe 3 now, with the global warming.
That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. I'd like to encourage folks to join us on Thursday. We have a special show on our check-in and check-up for your health. And we're talking about CPR and Black America. Damon, you and I have talked about this. You are CPR certified. You understand the value of this. I have become CPR certified as a result of my relationship with the American Heart Association. And we're going to not only be talking with people who are involved in getting the country, and especially Black America, CPR certified, but also the women who are head of the historically Black sororities that we have. We're all going to be together on Thursday evening, and we talk about this, about CPR in Black America, why it matters, and why one person in every household needs to know how to perform this life-saving measure. Please join us, and let's get everybody CPR certified. And we do hands-on certification. That's what we've done, not the mouth-to-mouth thing, because of the don't have a lot of the materials that you may need in order not to spread germs and things like that. But definitely the hands-on CPR, and it's that is what American Heart is going for this year. And so heartily endorse that and hope that it will happen very soon.
Yeah, I hope they do an initiative in barbershops too. I think barbers should not only be certified, but also hold classes, because that's where you can catch men gathered at their most comfort is in the barbershop. So, I'm never there, but men go. God is my barber.
Okay. What a sense of humor.
Oh man.
The meeting place of the barbershop has really served to help our people in our community. When you talk about men's health and talking about checking their blood pressure and talking about diabetes and other things that are necessary in order to have our men become the healthiest that they possibly can be, and to be as mindful of staying on top of all the things they need to check as we get older. And the barbershop is a great meeting place for that. And I hope that, I know we're going to be doing it at our yoga studio in Fort Worth, but also, and if we can get a nice little cushion on the floor at beauty shops, so we, and away from all the hair and stuff, but definitely learn how to do that in a beauty shop or a barbershop. Very, very cool.
Sweet.
Very cool. So Damon, let's talk about the Super Bowl. Your thoughts on it. I know we talked about the numbers and a little bit about the Tubi ad. Overall, did you enjoy the game?
Great game. It was suspenseful. I think first of all, it went down to the wire, is what you want, because we've had some Super Bowls that were kind of boring. All the hype and all the snacks, then you get there and the game is not competitive. But it was a really competitive game. I know the Philly fans are still butt sore over that one particular call, but one call did not determine the outcome of that game, I don't believe. But it was it was tacky, or it could have went either way. Right. But to be honest, if you're a Philly fan and you think that's what did it, to be honest, the turnover, it was one major turnover, and that was by the quarterback on your team, and they scored right away. So that pick six or whatever the turnover was might have really determined the outcome more so than that one call with the referees. So it was great. I mean, it's hype. People are up in arms, and all the fans are sick for a week or a whole season. Meanwhile, the athletes jumped straight on a plane and went to Bali Hill or Bora Bora somewhere, and probably in a hot tub, not even thinking about that game. So don't let sports ruin your life. I know now, though, a lot of people have started gambling on sports because it's so intertwined in the advertising and marketing of sports, and that's very concerning to me. That FanDuel and the other ways that people can gamble so readily, I believe it's going to become a problem in society.
I believe so too, Damon. I don't know. Did you see? I saw this in the middle of the night as well. I think it was on Twitter. This young guy who got so angry at the end result of the game, he attacked the television and how the other people. And he said, "I lost everything. I put everything on this." And he was just, he punched the TV, and then he didn't punch it out enough, so he took it off the wall and punched it and threw it on the ground. And people were wondering if it was an act, but you're right. People are becoming more and more aggressive and entwined in their betting habits. And it's kind of scary.
Yeah, because you can bet on all aspects of the game. It's like the coin toss, a field goal attempt. I'm sure when that ball doinked and hit the upright, I'm sure that was a bet if that would happen during the course of the game or not. So it's ridiculous. And hopefully he was watching that game at his own house.
Okay.
If that was your visitor attacking the TV, then he should be in the hospital right now, because that was crazy.
Yeah. People are like, well, if you bought it from Costco, you can return it. I'm like,
yeah. But let me just say this to everyone out there. Gambling rarely works out in your favor. Casinos don't work out in your favor. They're not building them and continue to build them and counting the revenue from them off winners. So try to stay away. And they have so many ploys and tactics to lure you. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you
The
can bet
prop bets
$5 and
and
get
things.
200. It's
Yeah,
like crack.
yeah.
It's like crack dealers. They give you a little rock, you know, so that you will become a smoker.
Bring you
So,
in.
man, stay away from that. I've seen really tragic stories of ladies who are retired and lost their entire retirements. I've heard stories of this one particular lady. She had saved a college fund, and by the time her son was college age, she had gambled all his money away at the casino because they send buses out and they give them VIP cards and
Yeah.
they're gold members and they get free buffets, and then you just sit there and play your life away. So if at all costs, please try to be mindful of your gambling.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is about the time that somebody comes in. If you have or someone you know has a problem, call this number. But that's real. It is
Yeah.
absolutely real.
And it's
And
probably too late. The phone is probably cut off because they can't afford to pay the bill to call the number.
right, exactly. Can I borrow your phone? No.
Yeah.
But the prop bets that they even set up, like you were talking about, you know, the doinks and not going through the uprights. People were betting on and have over the years bet on the color of the Gatorade that was poured on the coach. And that
Wow.
wasn't shown. And a lot of people were upset that it wasn't shown on television, that, you know, they dumped the purple Gatorade, by the way, on Coach Reed. And, you know, he headed out before they could show it on television. Hello, Med. How are you? We can't hear him. No, we cannot
Well,
hear
now
him.
we can you sign language like the lady
Yeah,
at the
can you-
Super Bowl?
Oh
Yeah.
my God, how awesome was she? How awesome was that sister that was doing the sign language, especially during the Rihanna halftime show? That was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. So you and your son got to watch the game together. Is that unusual for you guys these days, Damon?
No, but you know, when you have an adult child, Sib, it's tricky catching up with them, especially a son like mine who's all over the place. But that
Right.
tradition, really, we would have been at my father's house. So yeah, so we drank a toast to Pops. But if he was home, normally he would be in Super Bowl City. But the last couple of years he didn't go because his team, he had a big Super Bowl group, and they probably went to the Super Bowl town 30 years in a row. But as they got older, it got smaller and smaller. So the last maybe 3 to 5 years, he didn't go to Super Bowl City. But yeah, we would have been at his house. And I remember one time I invited him over for a game, and he was like, "Well, you can come over here because I have an 80-inch TV." I was like, I said, "I have an 80-inch too, Pops." He's like, "You do?" And he came by. So it's like, turns out we had the same TV.
That's funny.
Coincidentally, same brand, same everything.
That's great. It's like father, like son.
In so many ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ned, can you hear us? Can we hear you?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Now we can.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Ned, do you have any thoughts on Super Bowl that you want to share?
Yeah, I do. It was a great game that ended terribly. That penalty at the end of the game, I was watching. I was just in there like, that's how we're going to do it? That's how we're going to do it. We're going to just drain the life out of everybody for these last 2 minutes. Because what I really wanted to do was be able to see Jalen Hurts have an attempt to either tie the game or win the game. And we didn't get it. And the penalty just kind of messed up the vibe of everything. It was a great game. Patrick Mahomes did his thing in the second half. Jalen Hurts did his thing in the first half. And I just wanted to see Jalen Hurts get one more shot and not that, 25-yard duck he threw.
So do you feel like it wasn't a holding?
Oh, no. It was a hold.
Okay.
It was absolutely a hold.
Right.
I just wish that the ref
let that ride.
Let it ride. Because that was the only holding call the entire game. Offense and defense. The only holding call. And we know, Damon, every play is probably a holding. You can call it a holding call. But yeah, was it blatant? Yeah. And something that funny that I heard from one of these former players, they were like, why are you wearing dark gloves when they're wearing white jerseys? You wear the white gloves so you can't. I was like, I never even thought about that. He's like, we always wore, and he used to play for the Patriots. He's like, on defense, our gloves match the jersey.
Jersey. Wow.
Who we're playing against. If we're at away, we have the dark black jerseys gloves on. if we are at home and they have the white jerseys, we're wearing white gloves, so the refs can't see us try to manipulate where the offense is
so
playing at home.
blatantly, yeah,
And I was like, I
camouflage.
never thought about that. And he had these dark gloves. You could see it. It was easy to see, but I'm just like, man,
That sounds like a Belichick move.
it does. Wear them white gloves, baby. He goes,
Right.
all the defensive
See?
players, wear your white gloves.
Right.
He's always
got me.
playing chess, not checkers. That's
Man.
Belichick.
So
Okay.
it was a hold, but I just wish that they would have tried and let us have a really cool ending.
Do you and your son watch the game, man?
My son doesn't care about no football.
If it was
Not at all.
if it
He's
was
7
World
years
Cup
old.
soccer,
He's 7 years old. He plays soccer, but he don't watch sports. He'd be like, "Daddy, football's on." There you go. I'm gonna see you later. I'm gonna go upstairs to my room. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
I'm gonna go read a book.
Right. About to go watch these girls TikTok.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, that brings us to the end of trending news. I did want to talk about one thing though, and sadly, I was going to write about something else today, but I felt compelled because, as I mentioned, I am an insomniac, and I was up for most of the night, and I was listening to the progression, if I can call it that, of the story in Michigan State University, and the murders of those young people and the severe wounding. And why does that apply to us? Because the man who is viewed as the killer, the suspect in this, was a Black man. And one of the victims was a young Black girl, 19 years old, a sophomore who had dreams of becoming a pediatrician. Her name was Ariel. And you may have seen something on social media that she is the niece of Delish, who was a reality TV star,
Flavor of Love,
Flavor of Love, and she posted that this was her niece. And initially they did not, her family did not want her identified, and ultimately it came out. And I'm just so tired of this. I'm just
unimaginable.
So tired of this.
And regardless of the alleged suspect or the shooter, the assailant, if for anybody to be killed on a college campus when there's so many people out here that are not even aspiring to do certain things with their lives, to take the best and the brightest in those circumstances senselessly and basically with no motive. They said it's just
and they're trying to figure out what it was.
Yeah,
trying to figure it out. And why was he also looking at a New Jersey high school district, and they were on lockdown as a result of this, and the frequency with which these things are happening. There were young people on that campus who were not only affected by this, but there was one young lady who was in high school out in the Oxford High School District, about 30 miles outside of 60 miles outside of Detroit, where the young boy was tried or has been in court for killing some of the students there. She was also on that campus. There was a young man on the campus whose father was running in the Boston Marathon when the bomb went off.
Wow.
And there was a young girl who was in the 6th grade during the Sandy Hook shootings at the school in Newtown, Connecticut. This is just, and today is the anniversary of the shooting in Florida, where 17 students and several adults were killed. There's something in the air. It's also the 5th anniversary of Northern Illinois, if you guys remember that, about 15 years ago. This is the anniversary for that too.
And a friend of mine actually told me that out there in the suburb of Chicago, they kind of shut down the area, and it was in connection to Michigan State. So I don't know what this man had, or you connected to New Jersey. I think he had a few places that were
probably, man, right.
And because my friend told me, he goes, for some reason this Michigan State thing has Schaumburg shut down. I'm like, what? That don't make any sense. So there's this, I don't know what's going on, and like you said, it's just the frequency of it. I know we all want to talk about banning certain things and the gun laws and things of that nature, but at a certain point in time, because I never really wanted to blame mental illness for this, because I'm just like, hey man, just do something about these gun laws, and and let's move along with it. But again, like you said, Sybil, the frequency of it, and for a lot of people, it's like it's not even a real reason. Like they're just mad or upset because something happened to them that might not even have anything to do with the school, or they just said, you know what, that's my target.
Right.
And the thing is that the laws that they want to put into place would not have stopped any of these. You know what I'm saying? Because these guys have guns, or they have never had an issue before. So it's like, what is the answer?
Well, there's been a significant reduction in funds allocated to community mental health facilities within communities. So maybe possibly some of these people are in some type of treatment or therapy, they can at least be spotted, or at least put on a watch list for certain things like this. There is no way to stop random madness, but at least we can possibly reduce it, because other countries don't have these issues like we do. So there's got to be some blueprint or some other society that we should look at and pattern America after. But we've entrenched our whole society and gun culture, starting with the Westerns of the 50s, 60s, 70s. We all grew up with cap guns and toy guns, and the gun culture here, we glorify guns. Then all of our movies are so violent. Now the video games are so violent, and I don't know if there's a single solution, but all of these factors combined, it's like a big gumbo of violence that's going to take place. It's crazy.
Let's continue this conversation in our What's Going On segment, and asking you about your fears. Because, parents every day talk about, you just never know when you send your child off to grammar school, to high school, or you ship them off to college, what's going to happen in their day. And there were a lot of parents who were, made a beeline to the campus of Michigan State to talk to them. So I'm asking people, are you afraid? Are you afraid to go to the grocery store because of what we've seen in Buffalo or at Walmart? Are you afraid to go to, are you afraid for your children to go to school? Are you afraid fearful of going to church? Are you fearful of carrying on your everyday activities? That is, the question we're asking people as a result of what's going on. I don't know to ask you guys if you and are you fearful, but are you aware of because even I'm scared. And sometimes being on the road in Dallas, I was talking to Yolanda the other day. We were driving along, and we are the land of the big trucks, and they have a way of being like bullies on the road. And so I, move off and get out of their way and things like that, because road rage is real. Road rage is very real. And being in a grocery store, just in terms of, just being aware of your surroundings and things like that. Are you guys aware? And do you know people who are fearful of carrying out their day-to-day activities?
I don't know anybody that's fearful. I keep my head on a swivel. I can say that much. And I don't know if that's even better for everybody, because now you have biases in your head, or you're looking at certain people a certain kind of way. Like, no, I'm not going over there. Let me let him finish what they move out this aisle. Recently we got a call from my son's school. They're saying, we're in lockdown right now. Please, don't come up to the school. We'll let you know when everything's clear. And I'm just like,
really?
What? Like, there was no information of that. We're in lockdown. Everybody's all right. We'll let you know, when things are clear.
When you can come.
What are you locked down for? Come to find out that, and then they cleared it up within 15 minutes. But come to find out there was a shooting that happened near the school. Not in the school, but near the school, and everybody in the area just basically shut down and locked down until the shooter was caught, and he was. But it's just like, when it comes to my kids, or my child, one, when it comes to my kid, that's when the fear comes in, because I can't control. When he's not with me, when he's out on his own at school, I'm in no control of the situation. So that will put a little fear in me. It's like, it's rare when we let him We don't let them even sleep over at kids' houses. We don't,
Right.
I don't play that. You know what I'm saying? We don't do that. Because we can't, and it's probably our only child and a little bit of a controlling situation as well. But when it comes to just me, I don't have a fear when I go out there because look, we just talked about a few weeks ago, fear of the police. You know what I'm saying? Fear of going out. I can't live like that. If I live like that, I'm gonna go nuts. And we don't need that. So I don't live in fear, but I just kind of pay attention to what's going on around me.
How about you, Damon?
From a parental standpoint, I can tell you this now, man, that'll never go away. So you're not controlling, you're not over concerned. My son is 30, and I still watch the news and make sure it's not my son when there's a car accident, when there's a shooting in Chicago. And he's a grown man. He's been taught well. He's been given his instincts about the shot. So, but that's personally though. I mean, I've been in so many circumstances that I'm pretty much, I just have to live my life. It's like I said, I've lived through a tornado. I've shot myself. Oh
God, that's a whole nother show.
Right. So, I'm out here kind of like, willy-nilly but I'm definitely very mindful in circumstances in places where I feel like I'm vulnerable, like late nights at gas stations or, certain seedy areas and things of that nature. But when it comes to like living life in general, when you're in a major store or a big box store or something like that, life is so random that you can't live in fear of it, but you just have to be conscious that it could take place. And when I'm in places, I kind of map my exits in restaurants and things of that nature. The whole Malcolm X, not sitting with your back to the door, not getting confrontations with people in road rage, just let them go. If they're driving aggressively, I get out the way. Used to be a time I walked up to people's cars and, got out the car. Hey, what's wrong with you? I'm not in that big a hurry. You knock that little 10 seconds that you got in my day. You go ahead, sir. If I'm in the left lane and I'm not going, and I drive fast. If I'm not driving fast enough, apparently I need to move out the way. So you want to try to offset any type of confrontations or even making yourself a target in a major situation. That goes for going. People always ask me, "You come to the after party?" Nope. Because every time I hear about something, it's like an athlete or somebody at the club afterwards. But the club owner in Atlanta just got killed because they put somebody out. I'm already exposed and vulnerable in these comedy clubs, and that's all the risk. Between that and airplanes, that's my risk factor.
Damon, can I ask you a question? Because your son is active in like protests and things like that. Like, what have the conversations between you and him when you know you're about to go be a part of something that might end up being dangerous? Like what is the conversation you have with him before he goes out there?
Well, actually, I don't have to because they actually teach how to interact in protest circumstances. They're actually training people how to facilitate protests and how to interact with the law enforcement. So even though he still got caught up in a situation, Memorial Day of May 2020, and he got accosted and roughed up by the police because they were trying to stand their ground. And so it's not a whole lot I can say because I'm not, really experienced in that area. I've only been like to one march the day after that happened. So I don't have that conversation or the know-how to give him, but I've been teaching him since he was learning to drive how to interact with police overall. Turn on your interior lights, show your hands, have your stuff ready, let your window down. Yes, sir. No, sir. Even if you feel like you're in the right, if you feel like they're being, negligent or belligerent with you, maintain calm. And that's the only advice I could give him. But that's been since he's been about 14, 15. I've always also told her if there's a fight or a confrontation, you go the other way. Don't go to the fight. Don't be the one trying to videotape the fight because the innocent bystander is normally the one that catches the stray bullets. I've been saying stuff like that to him since, third grade.
Got it.
Damon, do you know if the training is anything like what they used to teach to the civil rights protesters, like the lunch counter sit-ins and things like that, where they would, they would take on the personage of the white people in the lunchrooms and in the diners and pour things over them and say things to toughen them up and steel them against what could come?
Nah, we're not in that deep, those people had to be way more careful and cautious because there was no repercussion for law enforcement if in fact it happened. I think most of their training is how to verbally react to them, how to stand strong when they're being accosted, and they don't have to worry about slipping and falling and stuff because they wear sneakers. You know, back then they had a dress
Yeah, that was a
code.
different type of shoe. Yeah.
Back then they had to worry about how to stand your ground in florshams and kitten heels, you know. So I think the training has evolved a little bit, you know.
No grip whatsoever.
But it's different now, you know, and there's so much coverage with cameras and such.
Yeah.
So that part definitely helps.
Yeah. Med, what are the talks you're having, or at least that you and your wife are having in regards to talking to your son about this kind of stuff? Like when the school was shut down, what was that conversation?
That conversation was like, okay, so what does that mean? Like, it was one of those things where it was like, what do you mean don't come up there? You know, it's like, if you were locked down, I feel like I need to come up there. You know what I'm saying? I know you're not going to let me in, but I need to come up there. You know,
our question is like, afterwards, how did you deal with your son with that after that occurrence?
Was there a
I found out what
discussion?
happened, I asked him about it when I picked him up. He goes, like, they didn't know. Like, he's in the second grade. They're just in the classroom.
Right.
Teacher just acted like everything was normal, but she locked the door and, went about class. So my son had no clue that there was anything going on. So when I asked him about it, he was just like, I don't know.
Right.
He's like, I was in there.
I don't know. Football's on, Dad.
No idea.
Get out of my room. Go watch your game. I'm trying to get to these TikTok videos.
Speaking of entertainment, let's move to entertainment. And if Idris Elba has told us once, he's told us a million times, and he's going to say it again, I'm not going to be the Bond guy. I don't know how many more ways to tell you. I'm sticking with Luther. I don't want to be Bond. They don't want me for whatever reason. It ain't going to happen.
I thought you said he was in the city. I'm not the black guy, because that's what he was talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not a black actor. That got people riled up. I'm like,
man.
He was in Dubai, and he brought up the persistent discussions about him taking over as the famed British spy, James Bond, and those, of course, after Daniel Craig, and I hope I'm not spoiling this for anybody, but Daniel Craig died, James Bond died in their franchise movie No Time to Die. Asked about his upcoming film based on the British series Luther, he said, "No, I'm here for Luther. I'm not 007. He says, we've been working on the television show for 10 years. And so the natural ambition is to take it to the big screen. And that's what we're doing. We're taking it to another level. We're taking Luther to the big screen as a movie. But a lot of people talk about another character that begins with J, and the first name begins with J and the last name begins with B. I'm not going to be that
Didn't we
brother.
have a black woman that was James Bond in No Time to Die as well? I just don't. I mean, Idris, if you want to get Idris to be James Bond, we're about 10 years too late. I think whoever is going to be the next Bond they're going to want him to be Bond for like the next 10 to 15 years.
Right.
So you're going to be looking at somebody in their 30s.
That's why they were talking about the guy from Renee. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, from
the
Netflix show.
Series. Yeah. The British. I can't. All these guys. Right. Bridgerton.
Renee, they've been talking about for that, and I could see it. But it would be more different because Daniel Craig's James Bond was a brute. He was like a brawler type of James Bond. If you go with somebody like Renee, now you're going back to like the Pierce Bronson smooth, smooth.
Yeah, that'd be a really soft Bond choice.
Yeah, Daniel Craig was a fighter.
Compared to what Daniel Craig was, Renee would be very.
Yeah, if they go black, they can't go light skin. I'm sorry. You might as well get Eric Benet to play James Bond. What are we doing?
That's not a bad idea. With no shoes.
Bridgerton,
right?
Bridgerton.
Bridgerton,
Daniel. Because how many we have? There's a lot of black actors that are
Yeah.
British that are over here working.
I mean,
And
they
to me,
could
a
do
lot
the
of guys
young
wouldn't
kid.
go with it. They're going to go with a black Bond that are young.
The kid from Snowfall would be a good one.
Oh, yeah,
Damson
Franklin.
Idris.
Damon.
Yeah,
Damson.
yeah,
Damson Idris.
yeah. And then there's the other kid from Star Wars, John Boyega. I believe that's his
Mhm.
name.
Right.
Yep.
And he was mentioning that story you mentioned where Idris was saying not to pigeonhole yourself as a black actor,
Mhm.
because then you'll be stereotyped in your roles. But it's mighty funny. Those stereotype roles got him to be who he is in America. So he kind of dumped on playing the black roles, especially since his part Stringer Bell is what made him for
Okay.
us.
Made him.
Yeah.
And that you can't be no blacker than Stringer Bell. So I don't know, Idris.
I don't
Don't
care if
get too
you're British
lofty
or
on us.
American. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And when you first hear them talk with their British accent, you're like, really?
Right.
You sound like you were straight from Baltimore.
Okay.
Yeah. Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Baltimore. It's time for our Yogi's Jewel, our daily inspiration. And today, when you really love yourself, you will not accept ridiculousness from others. Come on now. Come on.
Ashe.
Yes.
Ashe.
Yes. Amen. And one more thing, we are going to the CIAA tournament, and we would love for you who are watching and listening to us to join us. So take a look at this.
Join us for action-packed games as the best men and women ballers take over Baltimore for the 2023 CIAA Basketball Championships this February 21st to the 25th. Experience it all on your schedule. Buy your general admission ticket for the game of your choice and join us to create new legacies. Bring your friends, family, sorors, and frat to experience tip-offs, dunks, and nail-biting buzzer beaters all tournament long. Single session tickets available at CIAAtournament.org. Don't miss out.
Don't miss out. We'll be there next week. So I look forward to talking to you guys soon. I'm so glad we were able to get together, Med. Thanks for joining us. Damon, as always, we appreciate you and look forward to seeing you all again soon. Take care, everyone. Aloha.